If we make the decision to take the other fork in the road, as I said before, it is not an easy path, but it will turn out to be not only easier than the one we are traveling now, but it will be filled with opportunities. Solar power and wind power, to pick two examples, are both in their infancy, but already the cost is coming down for solar power 15% per year. More sunlight falls on the surface of the earth in 1 hour than is necessary for the entire world's energy use for a full year. And the technology experts and the scientists are finding ways to make it far more efficient and far more affordable. If we made a large commitment to go down this path, the price would come down rapidly, as it did when we made a commitment to build computer chips. There are now 1 billion transistors for every man, woman, and child on the earth. And when the companies that make these computer chips decided that market would justify enormous research and development expenditures, the price started coming down rapidly. If we choose to take the right path, then we will knock and the door will open. Wind power, similarly, is already competitive. For the last 4 years in a row, wind power has been the largest source of new electricity generation in the United States. It is already competitive. And if we put a price on carbon, then the use of energy will automatically become more efficient. Waste will be reduced. Profits will go up for those who make the right decisions to be more competitive. But we have to make an active choice. Ecuador has made some wise choices. I salute you for it. I will continue working on my country. But the truth is that the world as a whole must make this choice. I believe that South America as a continent can play the pivotal role. Colombia is now actively considering a CO2 tax. Other countries are moving forward, Brazil, and I would go down the list. If Ecuador should decide to play a leadership role in encouraging these changes throughout the South American continent, it could transform the global politics of this issue. People respond in a time of challenge. I remember, and I will close with this month is the 50th anniversary of a speech by a former American president that I heard when I was a boy of 12 years old. John F. Kennedy challenged the United States to put a man on the moon and bring him back safely within 10 years. I was thrilled. But I heard adults in that day and time say that this was an unwise commitment because it would prove to be impossible. Well, 8 years and 2 months later, Neil Armstrong set foot on the surface of the moon. And the moment he did so, in Houston, Texas, at NASA Mission Control, a great cheer went up. And in that control room, the average age of the systems engineers was 26, which means their average age when they heard that challenge was 18. Today's 18-year-olds are ready for this mission, but they are looking to us to start this transformation. There is an African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We have to go far quickly. So we have to get our act together quickly. And we must Because mark my words, not too many years from now, that next generation will make an assessment of the world they have inherited from us, and depending upon the conditions in which they live their lives, they will ask us one of two questions. If they live in a world where governance is collapsing in developing nations under the strain of all the environmental damage and the climate chaos, a world where subsistence agriculture is ever more challenging, with environmental refugees creating conflicts with rising sea levels and escalating temperatures and the floods and droughts and all the rest, they would be justified living in a world like that, looking back at us and asking of us, what were you thinking? Didn't you see these changes? Did you really think the scientists were lying to you, all of them? Were you too comfortable? Were you just not paying attention? What were you thinking? But if that next generation lives in a world where there are millions of new jobs creating renewable energy systems and much more efficient means of production and sustainable agriculture and sustainable forestry and the protection of the wild areas. And if they have hope in their hearts and if they look at their children and feel hope that their lives will be better still because the process of recovery is by then underway, I want them to look back at us and ask, how did you find the moral courage to rise up and solve a crisis that so many said was impossible to solve? And part of the answer will be that in Guayaquil, Ecuador, the government, business, and civic leadership, students and teachers and society as a whole made a commitment and spread that conviction to their neighbors and became part of a rising movement in this world to say, yes, we will solve this crisis. We have everything we need to do that, with the possible exception of political will. But ladies and gentlemen, always remember that political will is itself a renewable resource. Gracias.